Now, I have been warning you that the market could go lower. Over the last few weeks, I have been talking about this quite openly, that I'm pretty bearish due to certain things. The dollar strength is massive, the weakness in the stock market, but also you got to think interest rate hikes. This week is an important week. Wednesday and Friday, huge events happening. We're going to find out what the new point basis is and also the non-farm payroll, which could also increase the strength of the dollar. So we need to look at a few things. So let's talk about it on the screen. So as I say, I have been talking about this pretty openly. On the screen, you can see that. You can see some of the stuff that I've been saying in terms of like, we could be going a little bit worse here. Now, I know it's all doom and gloom. I know I should be more upbeat. Yeah. But let's be honest here. These are the charts. This is the data that we're getting. We're seeing too many people say, yeah, you should just buy it. But why should you buy it when we're at critical levels where if we do lose that level, we're going to go a little bit lower, and no one wants that. You want to buy with strength, and we don't have any strength. Let's be fair. We're kind of struggling at the moment. Now, as I say, Wednesday, an important day. Wednesday is important because we have all this sort of stuff here. The FOMC statement and also the Federal Reserve interest rate decision. So we're going to find out what's going to happen, right? And then obviously the press conference. Don't trade on that day. Just don't trade. Just don't trade. Just chill out on that day. Just walk away. Go on a walk. Now, why is that important? Well, that'll be important because it's going to lead to what's going to come out in terms of the data. The unemployment data across the world technically comes out on this Friday, the 6th. Non-farm payroll. So as we've seen over the last few months, it's been increasing for obvious reasons. Coronavirus and that kind of curbed away. It's no longer a thing, realistically, is it? In terms of restricting you fully. But ultimately, the element is that the growing economy in America has also increased the dollar strength. And that's always bad for cryptocurrency, usually, right? Money going into the dollar, strength going out the strength going out of the stock market, sorry. It's going to lead to certain things as well. And obviously, the economic climate around that will always factor in. So it's an important thing. So that's, in my opinion, a hugely important week. Now, other things to look at as well. Obviously, the fear and greed of the market. Now, not everyone goes on this, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think we're low enough. I think we've been a lot lower previously, as you've probably noticed. So if you go the last 3 months, we have been a lot lower. So we look at, 20, give or take, not too long ago. But when we look back and look at other sort of regions, I think we got like a 13. We did get a 13 somewhere. But yeah, we have been much lower. You can see this in these previous kind of rundowns, and you can see this in January as well. There we go, found them. So we could go lower in terms of like how people's reaction is, and I think this week is, for me, make or break. And for some people, not good, right? So remember, boys and girls, take profit as and when you can. Now, let's talk about it. I've got the economic calendar on here for effect, if you so wish to look at that on TradingView. But this is Bitcoin at the moment, right? At the moment. Now, for me, this is the most valid trend line we're going to get in terms of the overall bias. And a lot of people, for me, were pinning their hopes on this trend line. The market so far in the dominance of the stable currencies, if you want to know how to get that indicator, it's on my Patreon. It's relatively straightforward, but it's a great metric to show the money flow. And a lot of people are currently in stable coins at the moment. The stable coin boom, so to speak, will probably get even bigger if the market gets more bearish for obvious reasons. So this is inverted, so it doesn't work in the same way as a dominance chart. So if you know me through dominance, you'll probably understand the metrics of that. But a lot of people were pinning their hopes on this as a bullish trend line. Now, I feel that this is now stopped. Now, I know some people are going to counter trend it and go, oh, but what about this one? Well, for me, that is, yeah, let's be fair. This has got a lot more weight to it than that, for me personally. But that's my personal thoughts, right? So I think that is a broken trend line. I also think we've had a retest as well as resistance, and I think we are coming down. This level here, the crucial levels for me, is in between here. If we are going to look at some basic sort of fib sort of stuff, if we are looking at this is a textbook downtrend, and we have gone into this level. We could be looking much lower, and I do feel we are going to go down to that 30,000. Not so much 30,000 on the nose just yet. Like within one move, I think we're going to start seeing some like moves down and retest these levels here, which is what, roughly 36,000, give or take. But I think the writing's on the wall. If we start looking further out, look at the 3-day time frame, for example, I think the writing is on the wall that we may well start to revisit a little bit lower on this 30k. Sorry if that's a bit bearish for you, but ultimately I think it's gone. I think that's more likely because this is no longer bullish. It really isn't. This looks like a bit of a flag, and we could be dropping out of it. So when we look at sentiment, when we look at hype and stuff like that, it isn't any. I don't think there's hype around certain little things, but not around Bitcoin, not around the adoption of cryptocurrency, not around certain things, because it really is at the moment random, and it's kind of a bit. It's so weird. But hey, that's just my thought on it. And when we're looking at the altcoins as well, now this is just like what I've got for learning crypto on the live stream, right? When we look at the main one, a lot of altcoins look pretty awful. Like, let's be brutally honest here. The altcoins look tired. They look knackered. And that's, yeah, it may well be a bottom signal, I don't know. But ultimately, like, they have dropped so much more than anything around BTC. Bitcoin is, in my opinion, doing its job. It's holding its value better than anything else. And that's kind of what you want it for. But for me, like, when we look at the likes of Ethereum, where it is, right, that's dropped quite significantly. But when you look at the altcoins, Rose, for example, was doing well not too long ago. Now look at it. Polkadot, another great example. BNB has kind of held a little bit as a higher cap coin. But when we look at the likes of Cardano, Avalanche, even Atom, they're dropping significantly. When we look further down, NIA is now $11. Yeah, it's interesting, right? So we've got to look at that. But for me, right, when we're looking at the overall market, this is what I put on my page on the other day. We're going this way. I think we're going that way. I think we are going to start realizing a little bit more losses, certainly with the altcoins, looking at them. Now, the total market cap obviously is going to have a much different bearing on the other two, the other totals. This is why I'm saying the altcoins are looking very, very bad at the minute, because they're down significantly. Obviously, this is everything. This is excluding Bitcoin. This is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So you can probably see why BTC is holding on pretty okay. But if BTC loses that level and we go down to that 32 or 30k, stand by. That's all I want to say. Watch and shoot, boys and girls, because that could get really, really interesting. Now, there is always going to be opportunities. There's going to be some. I think it's over. I've said this for a few months now. I think this is it. I think there's not going to be a massive blow off. I think that's going to be it. I think we're going to slowly go into a bear market, and I think we're getting there now. My video on Wednesday, we're going to do price analysis, but I'm also going to talk about that line that I've always had on my charts. Now, it's not on this chart visibly, but I've had a line on my chart from the 16th, like that, from the 16th of May, right? It is one day after my birthday, but it is one full week after the halving last time. So when we talk about in terms of metrics of the weekly time frames and stuff like that, it was 1 week after. 11th of May, 2020 was the halving. Literally 5 days later from it, we're getting into metrics that the 16th of May would roughly be quite a critical date. When we look at the past data of halving and the cycles, right? And yeah, we can go on to it a little bit, but I will do a full video on this. Now, I've done a full chart on it, where in terms of the market cycles and stuff like that, in terms of length and stuff like that, we're getting to the point where the 2-year anniversary of the halving's coming. Is history repeats, right? History does repeat. So we could probably argue now it's repeated twice in terms of the halfway point, or just before the halfway point we started to tail off. We've done that again. So are we going to see that realistically happen again? Don't know. Depends on the miners as well, obviously. But for me, when we're looking at that date in terms of the 16th of May and looking at all that kind of, metric in terms of where the market really is, it's like we're kind of in no man's land, and we're getting towards a 2-year point of the halving kind of thing. Are we just going to keep going down? If there's no one here to buy up, if there's no hype here, if the stock markets keep going down, that's the only conclusion that we've really got to speculate on. So we've got to be careful. So we're getting very, very close to this level here, where you've probably seen the line on my chart in some of my older videos. I took it off because a lot of people are getting confused by it, because I was talking about that level as like probably decision time. Are we going to be in the bear market? And where we are right now for Bitcoin, not looking great. And I think the altcoins are reflecting that. But one thing before I go, as I say before, looking at the total market cap, if we are going to go into some sort of like deep depression and we're going to start looking at certain things, we've got to look at the fact that we have had some huge appreciation over the course of we have, like, I mean, look at it. The opportunity is here to make everlasting wealth if you are buying at the right times. Now, I know some people have not got in the market at the correct times, but we've got to look at the facts here. The fear and greed of the market will always weigh heavily on the downside in a market like this. But you've got to learn, you've got to educate yourself, you've got to get better. Now, as I say, the stock market, right? The stock market doesn't look too clever. It really doesn't. And the reason why I say that is because of the way the dollar's working, and obviously how high these are too. This is the first time potentially we could see a recession. But I know we're talking about certain if, buts and maybes, but if we do go into a recession because the inflation rates are too high and they get it wrong in terms of the interest hikes, we're going to see the first time how cryptocurrency will react to a recession. Will we do okay? Potentially, who knows? We don't know, right? So when we're looking at the Nasdaq and stuff like that and looking at how these are looking on the weekly time frame, for example, I've mentioned this before in other charts, right? When we look at this, you know, we've had the first obvious lower high, right? It looks pretty disgusting. We are currently going boom down here. If we do continue going down on the Nasdaq, for example, here, we're going to see a real big interest in terms of like how the tech stocks will, you know, kind of how will they react? And obviously, how will we react in terms of cryptocurrency? Now, zooming out again, sorry for the boringness, but we are on a mega run here, right? This is like a 10-year kind of bull market. So, rough with this move. If you have entered the market at the wrong time, unlucky, but there will be opportunities to make money elsewhere. They always will be. This is why you need to learn and educate yourself. So, make or break week, in my opinion. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. We're coming towards May traditionally a pretty crappy month. We've got to look at the fact that the obvious that the stock market is looking pretty crumbly, but as I say, there could be a reaction at certain points very, very soon. The altcoins look horrendous. I mean, just looking at that right hand side, it looks horrendous. Look at Zilliqa, for example. I know I shorted it and I wish I held it for a bit longer, as you know, but it's just the way it is. It's just the way it's going at the minute. It looks awful on the altcoin market right now. And the dollar looks strong. The dollar, the last thing is that this is still looking really, really strong. That is crazy. So make or break week, I think. I did warn you it was coming. It's one of those things.